Hello, my dearest sisters. As you might have noticed, this is a bonus video, and it's definitely going to be over 4 minutes. I ask that you at least watch the first part about punishments, because after that, I'm a little all over the place. But as Dr. Alfred Lanning once said, you must ask the right questions. iRobot. And that is what I plan to do in these videos. That will probably be 1 week, or weekly, on a weekly basis. So the first topic will be the punishments for my dear sisters for not submitting videos on time. As your sibling, you are aware of my malevolent cruelty and general evil doings, and I would be happy to assign your doom. In the exceptionally merciful state I am in currently, I will offer your poor souls a choice that I touched on briefly in my last video. First off, all physical punishments must be recorded and not a part of your weekly video. Here are the 3 options I think might atone for your devious crimes. Option 1. 100 no-knee push-ups and 100 sit-ups over the course of a week. The first and last 10 at least must be recorded. Option 2. A 5-page double-spaced paper on a topic of your choice. It has to be a thesis-driven argument paper and have at least 3 sources of information or research. It can be from a book or a news article, no Wikipedia, and they have to be from an intelligent source. Alright? The punishment must be completed by the end of April. And, oh wait, I have option 3. You must complete a fully colored picture of a character from Yu-Gi-Oh! Saying that you did not believe in the heart of the cards. The punishment must be completed by the end of April. And honestly, I think these listed punishments are far too lenient. At least it's not eating bacon. And now, the meat of my video, the life question of the week. So if you don't want to get all philosophical right now, I suggest you turn away or just turn off the video. So I often find myself pondering these philosophical questions without any true answers, and I've decided to share them with you as food for thought or angry, frustrating beasts to struggle with, as I have done. And you'll hear me talk about a lot of cultural anthropology class, which I'll get into later. So the week's question is, to what extent are we responsible for helping others? As social creatures, we cannot ever truly live independently. Our development relies on care from others much longer than other animals, and we are given a cornucopia of orders on how to treat others. Helping others in itself is another mystery to me. Like, what is truly helping when you're trying to help someone in the way you think is best, but in the way the recipient doesn't like? How should that be interpreted? As helping or hurting or being ignorant? Miscommunication. There's a lot of ways that society works. That's pretty confusing. Okay, now I'll present several pieces of information and knowledge to continue this train of thought. And again, you can stop now and just maybe think about that question. Or you can follow me along this path of where I talk about my cultural anthropology class and other things that are kind of on a rant. So the first point I'd like to bring up is a staple in American learning, as far as my learning goes, that seems to have always been just shoved down my throat. I talk about the golden rule, which is, if you have forgotten, to treat someone the way you want to be treated. And I have a distinct memory of sitting in a seminar as high school freshmen, like the first week of class, and they were just circle jerking that line until I couldn't fucking stand it. I've never been a huge fan of vague quotes or phrases about life, and I'm about to tell you why I think this particular one is just wrong. Acting upon someone else as you would want to be treated completely disregards the other person's entire history and background. Well, it just means you have to be nice, you might say. Well, let me say this. You would not talk to a crying baby and a professor in the same way, would you? No, you can't always have the same level of niceness or manner of speaking to everyone. That just doesn't make sense. It's impossible to treat someone the way you want to be treated because that, I believe, is self-indulgent and naive. The other person would want to be treated the way they want to be treated and the way they think they should be treated, not how you perceive what is best in terms of your interactions. Excuses of further obscuring this phrase can go on for days, but at least at this point, I hope you realize what I'm trying to get at. Which returns me to my question, that is a type of interaction between yourself and others. Other people generally want what's best for them and not what you think is best for them. Now begins the rant of my cultural anthropology class, aka Guilt Trip 101, aka How Everything is America's Fault 101. I'm really not exaggerating here, especially in this book, Conformity and Conflict Readings in Cultural Anthropology. At first I really liked it because it had interesting stories, but then I realized all these stories had to do with how America can be easily blamed for so many of the world's problems. So now I'm not a big fan. Particularly in one of its chapters, it describes reciprocal exchange involving the transfer of goods and services between two people or groups based on role obligations. It goes on to demonstrate through different societies how gifts may be benevolent, but also may be used to aggressively fight people, like gain position and prestige, bribery, and place others in debt for control and their loyalty. In this instance, Americans are supposedly ignorant of the power of helping others and just mostly seeing gift-giving as something that's nice. Other cultures relate a more cynical perspective, implying through their lifestyles that there's really no such thing as a truly genuine gift. Parents expect care in their old age from their children, heavy expectations on gift-giving holidays like Christmas and anniversaries, and most obviously in this book, America going into other countries to try and promote democracy and reduce oppression. That might not always be seen that way. And I was rereading a letter Katie sent to me, and it asked if I had been learning anything important about the economy of Bolivia. Bolivia being a landlocked South American country. And surprisingly enough, I have. Much of Bolivia's economy is centered around cocaine manufacturing. Because demand has increased in Europe and the United States, native Bolivians are practically forced into the trade with no other way to sustain themselves. Basically, everything bad that you can imagine to happen to people pretty much does for them. But the money isn't going to them. The impoverished people with a destroyed culture and family life. It is a very small percentage in Bolivia itself that even gets any money, because mostly all of it goes to the smugglers who carry it to their destinations, which are usually not native Bolivians. America tried to stop this trade, often called the war on drugs, using military force going into Bolivia and similar countries, and producing very little results. The response of America's interference was a lot of frustration. Their help didn't do much because of America's extreme ignorance on how to actually handle situations in their own country and the thick international networks that are really behind this cocaine trade. So Bolivia's not doing very well, in summary of that. And that's all the information I know about it from the book. And safe to say, it doesn't paint America with a very pretty picture. So that was one story. Another story, another example that I bring you, which I might have already said in the past because I thought about it a lot. This was near the beginning of my class, and it was from a chapter called Eating Christmas in the Kalahari. The author, an anthropologist, Richard Borshay-Lee, went to Africa to study the indigenous peoples. As a gift for their help and their kindness, Lee bought a really big and meaty cattle, or cow, or bull. It was a bull, I think, for the village to eat. In the weeks leading up to Christmas, the villagers gave nothing but contempt and disgust for the anthropologist present, saying that it was scrawny, weak, old, and thin, and that the Christmas feast would be terrible and people would be going home hungry because this anthropologist didn't understand anything about cattle or the way they looked or would be eaten. But on the day of the feast, as they cut it open, Lee saw that it really was as meaty and large as he had first saw when he bought it. And when he asked the village elder about their negative comments, he said it was arrogance. Yes, and this is verbatim, "We refuse one who boasts, for someday his pride will make him kill somebody. So we always speak of his hunted game as worthless. This way we cool his heart and make him gentle." I can't tell you how long that frustrated me. I kept thinking about it in terms of being just completely blindsided by that cultural misunderstanding, as they put it in the book. And I guess I just put myself in Lee's shoes and was equally frustrated with how he was treated. Alas, I must return again to the question I asked, and that the purpose of this video is about: to what extent are we responsible for helping others? Should I help people at all? How should I interact with people in the world around me? If I can't change it, should I take responsibility for it? Even if it's like associated with me, even if it's a part of my life. One of my friends goes on these crazy fucking crash diets, and Anthropology just hits me over the head with how much America can be blamed for the world's problems, and it sucks. How do I separate myself from what I need to keep myself sane? And I don't even think it's possible to be interested in something and not be completely uninvolved. You always have like a little stake in something that you want to have in your life. Is helping others really just selfish, like this reciprocity thing? Is imposing your ideas on what is best? Is it wrong to be selfish? No. What? How? Why? Life is a game that's impossible to win, and I'm just trying to get the rules, a question, and a million more at a time.